France dismantled Norway 4-1 in Boston, and for long stretches it wasn't even that close. Welcome to FairPlay, Football AI Review. Both teams arrived at Boston Stadium already knowing their round of 16 spots were secured. France had won their first 2 group games comfortably, sitting top of Group 1 with 6 points. Norway had recovered from a shaky start to win back-to-back matches against Iraq and Senegal, sitting second on 6 points heading in. With qualification wrapped up, the real prize here was group leadership. Finishing first means a more favorable knockout draw, and both managers knew exactly what was at stake in that regard. There was genuine intrigue around the Norwegian selection, with Erling Haaland and Martin Ødegaard both named on the bench, whether through rotation, fitness management ahead of the knockouts, or tactical choice. Their absence fundamentally changed Norway's ceiling as an attacking threat. For France, Didier Deschamps' successor Guillermo Stéphane named his strongest available 11, signaling that group superiority mattered to the French Federation. Norway lined up in a 4-3-3 under Ståle Solbakken, built around compactness and the ability to press in transition. With Haaland absent, Jørgen Strand Larsen led the line, supported by Oscar Bob on the right and Andreas Schjelderup on the left. The shape was designed to stay disciplined in mid-block and exploit the pace of the wide forwards on the counter. France's 4-2-3-1 was a system that suited the personnel beautifully. Tchouaméni and Koné anchored a double pivot, allowing Dembélé, Olise, and Doué the freedom to roam across the number 10 space behind Mbappé. The width was supplied by Theo Hernandez on the left and Koundé pushing from right back. The fundamental mismatch in this game was in the attacking midfield zone. France's 3 behind Mbappé were all capable of operating between the lines and between defensive shapes. Dembélé in particular is lethal in the half space between the full-back and center-back. Norway's 4-3-3 becomes a 4-5-1 in defensive shape, but the transitions were too slow to close those channels, and France exploited it ruthlessly from the opening seconds. It was a breathtaking start. Mbappé nearly opened the scoring after just 21 seconds, sprinting up the right channel and firing a thunderous shot that caught the crossbar beyond Egil Selvik's outstretched arm. The stadium barely had time to process the near miss before France came again, and Norway spent the opening exchanges chasing shadows as the French pressed relentlessly in the final third. In the 7th minute, France were ahead. Mbappé played a sharp pass into Dembélé's run, and the winger, finding space that Norway's defensive shape simply hadn't accounted for, blasted a right-footed shot across Selvik and into the far corner. It was a clean, clinical finish, and it set the tone for everything that followed. 13 minutes later, Dembélé doubled the lead, and it was an even more impressive piece of individual quality. He found himself collecting a pass with 3 Norwegian defenders around him at the top of the box, yet manufactured the space to shift the ball and curl a left-footed effort beyond Selvik's dive. It was the kind of goal that makes you understand why he was already a leading tournament scorer going into this fixture. Norway's response was immediate and electric. Just 14 seconds after the restart following Dembélé's second, Thelo Asgard latched onto a clever pass from Andreas Schjelderup and drove a right-footed finish into the net. It was a moment that briefly changed the atmosphere inside Boston Stadium and gave Solbakken's side belief that this could still be a contest. That belief was snuffed out in the 32nd minute. Tchouaméni found Dembélé with a penetrating through ball, and the winger produced what the briefing describes as a carbon copy of his second goal. Same position, same execution, a composed left-footed finish. Dembélé's hat-trick was complete inside 32 minutes, and the game was effectively over as a competitive contest. The key chance that didn't go in before halftime was a Mbappé effort that struck the woodwork. He finished the game having hit the crossbar and registering 16 total shots, which tells you everything about France's attacking intent. Selvik was kept busy and made 5 saves across the full 90 minutes, many of them in that frantic opening half hour. The most dramatic moment of the second half arrived almost immediately after the restart. In the 50th minute, Jørgen Strand Larsen stepped up to take a penalty for Norway. It was a genuine opportunity to make the scoreline 2-3 and reignite the game. But the spot kick was saved, Maignan getting down well, and that was the moment Norway's last hope of a comeback died. The penalty had represented Norway's only realistic route back into the match, and when it didn't go in, the game settled into a familiar pattern of French control. Solbakken made a double change at halftime that told its own story. Fredrik Bjørkan and Christian Torstvedt were both withdrawn, with Marcus Pedersen and Morten Thorsby introduced. The message was clear. Solbakken needed more physicality in midfield and better defensive discipline down the flanks. Thorsby added energy and press resistance in a central role, and Pedersen provided more reliable cover at right back. France responded to Norway's halftime resurgence with their own double substitution in the 66th minute. Dembélé came off, a standing ovation moment given his hat-trick, and was replaced by Bradley Barcola. Ryan Cherki replaced Olise, and the two fresh legs maintained France's attacking tempo without missing a beat. Stefan was managing the game now, protecting his stars for the knockout rounds. Dayot Upamecano was withdrawn in the 76th minute and replaced by Ibrahima Konate, a straightforward defensive rotation that gave France's backline fresh legs for the final quarter of the game. Upamecano had put in a commanding performance before his substitution, winning 7 tackles across 76 minutes, but Konate's introduction was pure squad management with an eye on what comes next. Mbappé was taken off in the 87th minute to a warm reception, having contributed 2 assists, hit the crossbar, registered 16 shots and 9 on target in one of the most complete individual performances of the tournament so far. Jean-Philippe Mateta replaced him, with Malo Gusto also coming on for Koundé as Stefan rang in the final changes. The decisive moment in this match was Dembélé's 3rd goal in the 32nd minute. By that point, any lingering Norwegian belief had already been weakened by the missed penalty, but the hat-trick completion before halftime made the 3 points a formality. Norway never had the individual quality to hurt a team of France's caliber consistently, and once the scoreline reached 3-1, the tactical battle was over. France dominated possession at 57% to Norway's 43%, but what the numbers don't tell you is how suffocating that possession was. France completed 480 accurate passes, built through structured combinations from deep, and their 86% pass accuracy reflected a team that moved the ball with real purpose. Norway's 81% completion rate was respectable but largely in safe territory. On the attacking side, France produced 18 total shots against Norway's 10, with 9 on target compared to Norway's 4. Interestingly, Norway edged the XG battle at 1.56 to 1.22 for France, a reflection of Selvik's saves and the missed penalty inflating Norway's potential rather than any genuine dominance. France were extraordinarily efficient with what they had. Defensively, Norway gave a reasonable account of themselves after halftime once the halftime changes bedded in. 17 tackles from each side shows the contest was competitive in its duels. But Jules Koundé and Upamecano were imperious before their substitutions, and France conceded just 1 goal across a game where they were arguably never truly threatened with anything worse. The standout performer on the Norwegian side was Thalo Asgard. He was everywhere in midfield, 3 tackles, a goal from a right-footed finish, and a general energy and directness that kept Norway competitive emotionally, even when they were being outclassed tactically. He completed 40 passes in a team that often struggled to string sequences together against France's high press, and his goal showed the kind of instinct that could define his international career. Across the pitch, Ousmane Dembélé was simply on another level. 8 shots, 5 on target, 3 goals, 1 assist. A hat-trick completed inside 32 minutes at a World Cup. He operated brilliantly in the channels created by Mbappé's movement, and his ability to score with both feet made him completely unplayable for a Norwegian defense that could barely track his runs, let alone stop them. He left to a standing ovation in the 66th minute, and left the stage having delivered one of the great individual group stage displays. The player who struggled most was Jørgen Strand Larsen. Tasked with leading the Norwegian line in the absence of Holland, he managed 2 shots and 1 on target across 90 minutes, and the missed penalty at the 50-minute mark was costly both on the scoresheet and psychologically. He found himself isolated without proper service, and in the moments where he did get chances to influence the game, he couldn't take them. Guillaume Stéphane got his tactical decisions right across the board. Starting his best attacking unit, using Dembélé and Olise as the wide creative forces in a free-roaming 3, and then rotating smartly once the game was won, this was confident, assured management. Solbaken's decision to rest Haaland and Ødegaard is understandable with one eye on the knockouts, but the lack of attacking threat from Strand Larsen meant Norway never had the individual quality to hurt a team of this caliber. In terms of head-to-head history, the data available only confirms this specific result, but the outcome reinforces what history suggests. France are a difficult proposition for any European opponent. Norway's win over Italy in their recent form run showed they can produce results against top sides, but France at a World Cup, with this attack fully loaded, are a different proposition entirely. The psychological weight of conceding 3 before halftime will need to be managed before the knockouts begin. Norway enter the knockouts having won 2 of 3 and scored 8 goals in the group stage. Their last 10 results include victories over Italy, Senegal, and Iraq, suggesting a team in genuine form. However, the absence of Haaland and Ødegaard from the starting lineup here and the vulnerability exposed by France's movement will be a concern. Their squad depth was tested and found wanting in this specific matchup. France arrive at the knockout rounds with a perfect 9-point record, 10 goals scored, and just 2 conceded across the group stage. They are unbeaten in their last 9 competitive matches and look devastatingly well-balanced. Mbappé and Dembélé as a combination are arguably the most dangerous partnership in the tournament, and the depth shown through Barcola, Cherki, and Konaté suggests Stéphane has genuine solutions when rotation is required. Looking at the group standings now, France top Group 1 with 9 points, Norway second with 6, Senegal on 3, and Iraq eliminated without a point. Both France and Norway progress, but the gap between first and second was emphatically underlined on the night. France face Sweden in their next fixture, while Norway must navigate a trip to face Côte d'Ivoire. Neither tie is straightforward, but France's task looks the more manageable of the two. France face Sweden on June 30th, knowing their momentum is extraordinary and their squad depth allows them to manage rotation without losing quality. For Norway, Côte d'Ivoire present a genuine test, an athletic, technically sharp African side with a point to prove. If Haaland returns to the starting 11 and Ødegaard takes his place in midfield, Norway become a much more dangerous team. But this result will have dented their confidence, and they must rebuild quickly. The gulf France exposed between the best and the rest in this group was stark and real. This was one of the most complete team performances of the World Cup group stage so far. France were efficient, creative, and devastatingly effective, while Norway, without their 2 biggest stars, were exposed at every turn. Dembélé's hat-trick will be remembered as one of the great individual World Cup displays, and the fact that both teams progress makes the result more palatable for Norway's fans. The knockout rounds begin in earnest now, and if France perform anything like they did today, they will be extraordinarily difficult to stop. Stay with us here on FairPlay, Football AI Review, as the group stage concludes and the 16 survivors emerge. Sweden versus France and Norway versus Côte d'Ivoire are both coming, and after what we witnessed in Boston today, the question isn't whether France belong among the favorites. It's whether anyone in this tournament has what it takes to stop them. That's the FairPlay verdict on this one. If you want more analysis like this, follow us. Find us on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok at FairPlay AI, and follow Anthony personally on X at Anthony Fairplay. See you next match.